Picture this. A man sits on the floor of a hallway. His suit is torn. The hallway smells like candles and other people's money. His phone is almost dead. His wife just told him good luck finding a park bench to sleep on. Far across the city, an old man sits in a warm, dry room. He watches his son's name light up on his phone screen, and he lets it ring. That old man is me. Give me some time and I will tell you how my own son ended up on that floor. I will also tell you why I am the one who put him there. On purpose. My name is Walter Hayes. I am 65 years old. This is the story of how one text message taught my son a lesson that $4 million never could. If you think respect should be earned, not just handed to you, stay with me. Like this video. Tell me in the comments if you think I went too far. Now let's begin. Every big story starts somewhere small. Mine started with rain. It was my birthday. I had just turned 65. My house in Seattle felt very still, like it was holding its breath. There were no candles. No cake. No sound of my little grandson laughing. Just me, an empty fireplace, and a phone I kept checking even though I knew it hadn't rung. My wife, Eleanor, passed away 5 years ago. She used to fill this house with noise. Balloons on the table. The smell of roast chicken in the oven. Now the house was just quiet walls and old memories. I did not expect a big party. I only wanted one small thing. A phone call. 5 minutes. Just something to show my son remembered I was alive. At 7 that evening my phone finally lit up. It was not a call. It was not even a video chat with my grandson Toby. It was just a long, cold text from my son Marcus. Dad, stop calling us. Don't expect us to take care of you when you get old. I have my own life now. Sell the house. Use the money for a nursing home. Don't be a burden. Happy birthday. I read those words twice. Then I said them out loud in the empty room. Happy birthday. Those two small words felt like a bandage stuck over a knife wound. Here is what my son did not know that night. He did not know that his big house had a steel safe hidden behind a painting in my study. He did not know that inside that safe sat a black leather folder. Inside that folder were 10 years of papers with his own signature on them. Loans. Real loans. Not gifts. He thought I was just a tired old man living on a small pension. He had no idea that 5 years ago I sold my share of my old company. I walked away with $4 million. I never told him. I wanted him to build his own life with his own hard work. I failed at that. But I never stopped keeping records. That night I did not cry. I did not call him back to ask what I had done wrong. For 40 years I worked as an engineer. I built bridges that could survive earthquakes. I learned something important in those years. When a bridge starts to crack, you do not cry over the broken pieces. You check how bad the damage is. Then you decide if it can be saved or if it needs to come down. I poured myself a small glass of scotch. I walked into my study. I opened the safe. And I started to read. The folder in my safe was not full of sweet memories. Every single page was a real loan. Signed. Dated. Stamped by a notary. 10 years of them, one after another. The first page was for a sports car. Marcus said he needed it to look successful to his real estate clients. That car cost $80,000. The next page was for his wedding. His wife, Vanessa, wanted a fancy vineyard, imported flowers, and a live band. That wedding cost $150,000. Then came the down payment on their fancy apartment. Then the credit card bill from their trip to Europe. Then the money for Vanessa's small shop, which closed after less than a year. And just 6 months before my birthday, Marcus came to me with tears in his eyes. He said he needed $50,000 fast or he would lose his job. I gave it to him without asking too many questions. When I added it all up, the total was $482,500. With interest, it was even more than $500,000. But the money was never the real weapon. The real weapon was one small paragraph, written at the bottom of every page. It said the lender, that's me, could ask for all the money back at any time for any reason. Once I asked, the borrower had 30 days to pay it all back. If he didn't, I could take his things instead. Marcus never read that part carefully. He signed page after page, joking and laughing, thinking it was just a formality. He thought I would never really use it. He thought I was a soft old man who would always catch him when he fell. He was wrong. I did not sleep that night. As the sun came up, I sat down and wrote a letter. Not to my son. To my lawyer. By morning, that cruel text message did not hurt me anymore. In a strange way, I felt calm. My son had just given me permission to stop being his soft father. It was time to become his teacher. You cannot take down a building without someone who knows exactly where to cut. My someone was named Robert Grant. Robert and I had been friends for 30 years. Back then he was a young lawyer with holes in his shoes. Now he worked in a tall glass office on the 42nd floor, looking down over the whole rainy city. I walked into his office and put my phone on his desk. He read the text from Marcus without saying a word. Then he let out a long, slow breath. It sounded like a doctor who just found something bad on an X-ray. "So," he said quietly, "it begins." I opened the black folder. He turned the pages slowly. The car. The wedding. The apartment. He looked up at me with a small, sharp smile. "You kept every single one of these," he said. "Do you understand what this means, Walter? This is not just a list of favors you gave your son. This is a weapon. Most parents never write these things down. They just give money and call it love. When the child walks away, the parent has nothing to stand on. But you have everything you need." He tapped the paragraph at the bottom of the page. "You do not have to wait for him to miss a payment," he said. "You can ask for it all back today. Simply because you choose to." He explained the whole plan to me step by step like a man reading blueprints he had drawn 100 times before. "First, we send a formal letter to Marcus's office. It has to be signed for with a time stamp. That starts the 30-day clock. Since every note was signed and notarized, there would be no long court fight. Just a judge, a stack of papers, and a bang of the gavel. After that, we could freeze his bank accounts. We could take his wages. We could put a claim on his apartment since it was already deep in debt. That claim would trigger the bank to take the apartment away too." For a moment, my heart felt heavy. I remembered teaching Marcus to ride his first bike in our driveway. I remembered him laughing, wobbling, falling, and getting back up. Maybe this was too much. Maybe I should just quietly remove him from my will and let him drift away on his own. That is when Robert slid a second folder across the desk. He had prepared it months earlier, right after Marcus begged me for that last $50,000. There was no real emergency at work. That money had gone straight to paying off a gambling debt in Las Vegas. "He did not just hurt your feelings, Walter," Robert said. "He has been lying to your face for years. That birthday text was not just an angry moment. It was planned. He thinks he has already taken everything he can from you. What happens to your grandson if nobody ever teaches this man there are consequences?" I picked up the pen. My hand did not shake. While I was signing away his inheritance, my son and his wife were sitting at the most expensive brunch place in the city. A glass of juice there cost $15. The walls were covered in soft velvet. Marcus's phone buzzed on the table. It was my birthday reply, a lie I had told him about selling the house and moving into a nursing home. He turned the screen so Vanessa could read it too. A big, proud smile spread across his face. "He folded," Marcus said loud enough for the next table to hear. "I told you he would. The old man is easy to read." Vanessa laughed. It sounded sharp like breaking glass. She did not ask if I was okay. She did not ask which nursing home I wanted. Instead, she grabbed a napkin and a gold pen and started doing math. "Let's be smart about this," she said. "The house is worth over $1 million. We don't need to put him in a nice care home. There's a cheap one in another town. That leaves more money for us." Marcus nodded, waving down the waiter for more drinks. "Exactly," he said. "And you need power of attorney the second that check clears. Tell him it's to protect him from scams. He trusts me. It's kinda sad, really." They started spending money that had not even arrived yet. Marcus pulled up a picture on his phone. A brand new truck. $120,000. "I can't drive that old car to work anymore," he said. "This one says success." Vanessa smiled and scrolled through her own phone. "And we are upgrading our trip. First class. A water villa on a tropical island. $10,000 a night, but we deserve it after all this stress." She looked at him, suddenly serious. "You also promised me that designer bag. The one worth $30,000. It holds its value better than gold." "Consider it done," Marcus said, kissing her hand. They raised their glasses. "To family," they said together. They did not mean me. Under the table, Marcus's phone buzzed again. This time it was his bank. His card had been declined that morning just for a parking meter. He swiped the message away and kept smiling because in his mind the future was already spent. They had no idea that at that very moment, a courier was carrying a thick white envelope out of Robert Grant's office. The clock had already started ticking. They were planning a vacation. They should have been planning for a very different kind of trip. They chose Thanksgiving to come and collect. I saw the car pull into my driveway around 10 in the morning. My grandson, Toby, jumped out of the back seat holding a small plastic dinosaur. He ran toward me with his arms wide open. "Grandpa," he shouted. Before he could reach me, Vanessa grabbed his jacket and pulled him back. "Toby, honey, no," she said. "Grandpa is old and tired. You might hurt him." I was not sick. I was not weak. I had walked 3 miles that same morning. But in their eyes, I was already something broken. "Hello, Dad," Marcus said, stepping past me without a hug or a handshake. His eyes moved around the living room, checking every corner, like he was already planning to sell it. "We brought a turkey," Vanessa said. She held up a plastic container from the grocery store. "It's already cooked. We didn't want you stressing over the oven at your age." She did not wait for a thank you. She reached into her bag and pulled out a stack of bright yellow sticky notes. She peeled one off with a sharp zipping sound. She walked to my old wooden cabinet, the one Eleanor and I bought in London 30 years ago, and slapped a note on it. In thick black letters it said one word: keep. I stood by the kitchen holding my coffee, and watched this happen without saying a word. "What are you doing, Vanessa?" I finally asked. "Oh, just organizing," she said, moving to the next room. "Brandon told us you're selling the house next week. We're just marking what we want. You can't take heavy furniture to a small nursing home room." Marcus walked in from the living room with a tape measure in his hand. "These windows have so much light," he said, half to himself. "We should knock down this wall. Open up the space. Dad, do you still have the old blueprints? I need to know which walls hold up the house." I felt something twist in my chest. "I thought you wanted me to sell the house to pay for my care," I said. "Why do you care about the walls?" "Well, yeah, eventually," Marcus said quickly. "But we want to get the most money for it first. Maybe we rent it out for a few years. Let the value go up. You don't understand these things, Dad. Let me handle it." They did not ask me a single question about my own feelings. They did not ask, "Dad, does this chair mean something to you?" They did not ask, "Would you like to keep this photo album?" I had stopped being their father. I had become a list of things to sort through. Then Vanessa walked into my bedroom. My private room. The one room I had not let anyone enter since Eleanor passed away. "Marcus, come look at this," she called out. I followed them in. Vanessa was standing at Eleanor's old jewelry box. She lifted out the pearl necklace and held it against her own neck, looking in the mirror. "These are real pearls," she said. "Must be worth $5,000. Such a waste sitting here in the dark." "Put it down," I said. It was the first real order I had given all day. She did not put it down. She clasped it around her neck instead. "Relax, Douglas, I mean Walter," she said, catching herself. "It's just gathering dust. I'm doing you a favor." Marcus stepped between us, trying to keep the peace. "Dad, it's just stuff. We'll keep it safe. For the family." I looked at my son. I looked at his wife wearing my late wife's pearls. I smiled, a small, cold smile. "You're right," I said. "It's just stuff. Take it. Mark it all up. By Monday, none of this will matter anyway." Vanessa's eyes lit up like she had won something. She thought I was giving up. She had no idea I was giving her enough rope to trip on. We sat down for dinner at a table that had held 30 years of family memories. Now it held a cheap plastic turkey and a room full of yellow stickers. Marcus cleared his throat in the same way a car salesman clears his throat before a big pitch. "So, Dad," he said, pouring himself wine without offering me any, "let's talk numbers. If you're really moving, we should act fast. I already checked prices in this neighborhood. I think we could sell for around 1.2 million. And since I'm a real estate agent, why pay someone else? I'll only charge you 2% instead of the usual 3%. "We," I said quietly. "Well, yes," Marcus said, smiling like it was obvious. "It makes sense to keep it in the family." Vanessa jumped in. "We also need to move all this old furniture out. Rent a storage unit. Paint the walls white. Bring in newer furniture to make the rooms look bigger for buyers." I looked at the yellow keep sticker on the cabinet behind her. Then at the one on the china cabinet. "Let me understand this," I said slowly. "You want me to move out. You want me to pay you to sell my house. And you want me to pay for a storage unit, for furniture you have already marked to take for yourselves?" Marcus frowned. "You're twisting my words, Dad. We're trying to help." I set my fork down. The sound was sharp against the plate. "You don't need to sell the house," I said calmly. Marcus blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean it's already sold," I said. "A private buyer paid cash. No inspections. No staging. We close Monday." The whole table went silent. Vanessa's wine glass froze halfway to her mouth. "What?" Marcus whispered. "I signed the papers yesterday," I said. "It's done." Marcus's face turned a deep, angry red. "You sold the house without asking me?" This is supposed to be my inheritance. I thought you had your own life now, I said. That's what your text said, remember? I'm just doing what you asked. I'm taking care of myself so I never have to be your burden. Vanessa slammed her glass down, spilling wine on the tablecloth. Where is the money going? Who is the buyer? You could have been cheated. Old people get cheated all the time. I'm not confused, Vanessa, I said. I ran a construction company for 40 years. The deal is done. It's over. But the furniture, Vanessa said, her voice rising. The pearls. Those are ours now. You said we could have them. The house needs to be empty by Monday, I said. I already called a donation truck. Everything is going to Goodwill. And the pearls are going to a charity auction for a shelter that helps women in trouble. Vanessa let out a scream, half anger, half heartbreak. You gave away your dead wife's pearls to spite us? I said stop yelling, I told her firmly. You're scaring the boy. Marcus stood up so fast his chair fell backward. This isn't over, he said. I'll get a lawyer. I'll say you're too old to make decisions like this. You won't see a single dollar. I almost laughed. Go ahead, Marcus, I said. Get a lawyer. In fact, I recommend it. You're going to need one very soon. He had no idea what I meant. He thought I was bluffing about the house sale. He had no idea the lawyer he really needed was for a very different fight, one that had already started. They grabbed little Toby and stormed out the front door. It slammed so hard the window shook. Toby looked back at me through the car window, tears on his face. I stayed still in the doorway. My heart hurt. But I had to be the villain tonight so I could become the hero of a story that had not been written yet. Monday morning came fast. At 9:15, Marcus sat in his glass office on the top floor of his real estate company. He wore a brand new suit he had already put on a credit card that was almost maxed out. He was excited. He believed a big check from the house sale was about to land in his account. His assistant knocked on his door. Mr. Hayes, there's a courier here. He needs a signature. Marcus smiled. He thought it was the paperwork for the sale. He signed for the envelope. It felt heavy in his hands. He tore it open with a small silver letter opener, expecting good news. Instead, he found a letter from Robert Grant's office. Below it was a spreadsheet. Every loan. Every date. Every amount. And next to each one small word, unpaid. At the bottom was the total. $482,500. 30 days to pay it back or face a lawsuit that could take everything he owned. His hands started to shake. The paper rattled in his fingers. He grabbed his phone and called me right away. Dad, he said, his voice cracking like a scared boy's. What is this? Is this some kind of joke? I was sitting on my porch drinking tea watching the rain. Hello, Marcus, I said calmly. You can't do this, he said. $400,000? I don't have that kind of money. I know, I said. That's why I gave you 30 days. You're a smart young man. I'm sure you'll figure something out. Dad, please, he begged. Tell your lawyer to stop this. This will ruin me. I'll lose my job. I'll lose everything. You should have thought about that, I said quietly, before you told me to sell my house and disappear into a nursing home. I'm sorry, he said, his voice breaking completely. I'm sorry about the text. I'm sorry about everything. Please just make it stop. I took a slow sip of my tea. The rain outside was soft and steady. I can't, I said. The letter is already sent. The clock is already running. You have 29 days and 23 hours left. I suggest you stop yelling and start looking for a second job. But Dad. Goodbye, Marcus. I hung up the phone gently. I did not slam it. I sat back and watched the rain fall, knowing that for the first time in his whole life, my son was facing a problem my money could not fix. By noon that same day, the freeze on his accounts had spread through every bank in the state. Marcus was at lunch with an important client, a man who could give him a huge business deal. When it was time to pay the bill, his fancy black card was declined. Then his backup card. Declined again. I'm so sorry, sir, the waiter said quietly. The system says do not honor. The client stood up, clearly annoyed. I'll pay, he said coldly. But I think we're done here. My company needs someone stable. He walked out without looking back. Marcus rushed out onto the street. He opened his banking app. Every account said the same thing, access denied. He ran home hoping to hide and think. But when he reached his apartment building, a tow truck was already there, dragging his leased truck away. Wait, stop. That's my car, he shouted, chasing after it. Sorry, pal, the driver said. Got a repo order an hour ago. Take it up with the bank. Inside the lobby, Vanessa was already screaming. Her gym membership had been declined that morning. Their key fob to the elevator had stopped working because the rent check had bounced. "What is happening?" she shouted, waving her phone in his face. "It's my dad," Marcus said quietly. He froze everything. "You told me he was bluffing," she yelled, hitting him with her yoga mat. "You said we had 30 days. "He can do that," Marcus said. "It's called an acceleration clause. I didn't know he'd actually use it." "So we have nothing?" she asked. "We have nothing," he admitted. Vanessa did not hug him. She did not say they would figure it out together. She looked at his empty hands and made a quick decision. "I'm going to my mother's," she said coldly. "Monica." "Vanessa, wait." Marcus called out. "Don't leave me like this." "You're a loser, Marcus," she said. "You promised me a whole different life. You can't even buy me a smoothie now." She got into a taxi and drove away. She did not even have money to pay for it. Her mother would have to meet her at the curb with cash. Marcus stood alone in front of the building he could no longer enter. It began to rain. He had no car, no cash, no working card, no wife, no home. He sat down on the wet curb, put his head in his hands and did not move for a long time. Later that day, Marcus and Vanessa tried once more to get into the apartment together, slipping in behind a delivery driver. But their electronic key still would not work. The little light on the lock blinked red, over and over like a tiny warning sign. "Kick it down," Vanessa said. "I can't," Marcus said. "It's a steel door and there are cameras everywhere. Do you want to add breaking and entering to everything else?" Vanessa stepped closer, her voice sharp and cold. "I don't care about lawsuits, Marcus. I care about my things. My jewelry. My clothes. My whole life is in there." Marcus slid down the door until he was sitting on the floor, knees pulled to his chest. "I need you to be on my side right now," he said. "We can go to your mom's. We'll figure this out. I'll talk to my dad again." Vanessa laughed, a dry, ugly sound. "Your side? Look at you. You have no car. No money. No credit. You're not a team, Marcus. You're a problem." "That's not fair," he said. "I gave you everything you wanted." "You gave me your father's money," she snapped. "I didn't marry a man, Marcus. I married potential. And you never even secured the deal." He looked up at her, his eyes red. "I loved you," he whispered. "I thought you loved me too." Vanessa's face softened for just a moment, but not with kindness. It was the kind of look you give an injured animal on the side of the road. Sad, but you still keep driving. "I loved the life we could have had," she said. "But love needs a foundation. I can't love a man who can't even open his own front door." She pulled out her phone and called a car. While they waited, Marcus made one last try. "You're just as much to blame as I am," he said. "You wanted the penthouse. You wanted the trips." Vanessa smiled coldly. "But my name isn't on any of those loan papers, is it? I never signed a thing." "You signed everything, Marcus. That's not my problem. That's yours." Her car arrived. She stepped into the elevator and turned to look at him one last time. "Good luck," she said. "I hope you find a comfortable park bench." The doors closed. Marcus was alone. He sat on the floor for a long time. Finally, with only a little battery left on his phone, he called me. I saw his name light up on my screen. I knew where he was. I knew who had just left him. I let it ring. I did not answer. "Not yet, son," I thought. "You're still hoping someone will save you. You need to feel the ground first." 3 days later, we all sat down in a small room at the county courthouse. It smelled like old coffee and nervous sweat. Marcus looked terrible. His hair was messy. His eyes were red from crying. Next to him sat a cheap lawyer named Mr. Reyes, tapping his pen against a mostly blank notepad. "We are here," Mr. Reyes began, "to argue that these loans were really just family gifts. My client believes he signed them under pressure without understanding what they meant." Marcus nodded quickly. "That's right. You tricked me, Dad. You said the papers were just for your records." Robert Grant did not raise his voice. He did not argue. He simply opened his own folder and slid a piece of paper across the table. "Exhibit A," he said calmly. "An email from Marcus to his father, dated years ago. About the wedding money." Mr. Reyes picked it up and read it out loud, his voice getting quieter with every word. In the email, Marcus had written that he understood it was a loan, that he would pay it back once he got his next big paycheck, and that he wanted to do this the right way. Robert slid another paper. A text message about the sports car. Again Marcus had used the word loan. Again he had promised to pay it back. "We have 47 pages just like these," Robert said. In every single case your client called it a loan in writing in his own words. Never once did he call it a gift. Then Robert placed one final paper on the table, the birthday text itself. Your client also told his father in writing that he wished to end their family relationship, Robert said. He cannot claim family love as a defense while also saying in the same breath that he wants nothing to do with his father. Mr. Reyes closed his notepad slowly. He looked at Marcus with a face that said everything. I think we're done here, he said, standing up. My advice is to settle. You have no case. He left the room without looking back. Marcus sat alone across from me. All the anger had drained out of him. All that was left was fear. When it was just the three of us, I did not slide him another lawsuit. I slid him a plain, handwritten note. I don't want your money, I told him. We both know you don't have it. Chasing what little you have left would just be a waste of everyone's time. He looked up at me, hope flickering in his tired eyes. I'll forgive the whole debt, I said. All of it. But there are two conditions. Neither one is up for discussion. Anything, he said quickly. I'll do anything. First, I said, you will fight for full custody of Toby. You'll move into a small, simple apartment. I've already found one for you. It's yours rent-free for 6 months as long as you keep a steady job. Okay, he said. I can do that. What's the second one? I took a breath. This part was harder to say. Second, I said, you will divorce Vanessa. Right away. Marcus flinched like I had slapped him. What? No, Dad. I still love her. She was just scared. She is not your wife anymore, Marcus, I said. Not really. She has been feeding off you for years. And when things got hard, she didn't grab a bucket to help bail out the boat. She grabbed her yoga mat and ran. You don't know her like I do, he said. I nodded to Robert, who opened one more folder. He slid a bank statement across the table. Look at this, I said. This is an account under Vanessa's maiden name. It's been open for 3 years. Look at the deposits. Marcus scanned the list, confused. Small deposits, over and over. 200 here. 500 there. $1,000 transfer. She called it her emergency fund, I said. Every time you borrowed money from me, every time you got a paycheck, she quietly moved a little bit into this account. He reached the bottom of the page and saw the total. $52,000. His hands began to shake. That can't be right, he whispered. 6 months ago, I said gently, you came to me crying, begging for $50,000 because you were terrified Vanessa would leave you over a gambling debt. She had $52,000 sitting in an account the whole time. She let you cry. She let you beg. She kept her money safe. Why would she do that? He asked, his voice breaking. Because she was never betting on you, son, I said. She was betting against you. And the moment your accounts froze, she was already meeting with a divorce lawyer. Look at the timestamp on this receipt. 1 hour after the freeze. Marcus stared at the paper for a long time. He remembered her voice in the hallway. I didn't marry a man. I married potential. He remembered the yellow stickers on my furniture. Slowly, something in him broke open. Honestly, this time instead of for show. Tears rolled down his face, but they were different now. Not angry tears. Real ones. Where do I sign? He asked quietly. I slid the paper toward him. He picked up the pen. His signature was shaky and heavy, nothing like the careless, proud signature he used to sign my loans. I want my son, he said. You'll get him, I said. And you'll get your dignity back too. Might take time. Might hurt. But it will finally be yours. Not something you borrowed. Not something you bought. He stood up slowly. He did not hug me. He did not shake my hand. He just gave a small, tired nod and walked out of the room. He walked taller than he had in years. Time moves forward whether we're ready or not. A year passed. I drove out to a construction site on the edge of the city. It was raining because this is Seattle, and the sky always likes to remind you that nothing stays the same forever. I parked across the street and watched. Mud covered everything. The sound of machines and hammers filled the air. And there, in the middle of it all, was my son. He was not wearing a fancy suit. He wore a stained work shirt and a bright orange safety vest. He was not holding a wine glass. He was holding a shovel. I watched him dig. It was hard, honest work. His face was covered in dirt and sweat, but he did not complain. He just kept working. Later, I learned he was making $22 an hour. That is less than he used to spend on one single lunch. But every Friday he pays his own rent with that money. He buys his own groceries. He rides the bus because he still does not have a car. And every single month, a small check for $200 arrives in my mailbox. I told him he did not have to pay me back. I had already forgiven the whole debt. But he insisted. I need to feel it, he told me once. Even if it takes 100 years, I need to see the number go down. As for Vanessa, she moved to another city within a week of the divorce. Online, I hear she posts pictures of herself on fancy boats, next to a much older, much richer man. She never asked about Marcus. She never asked about the debt. She never asked about me. She simply moved on, looking for her next comfortable place to land. I do not hate her. I feel sorry for her. One day she will run out of people to lean on, and she will have to look in the mirror and see what is really there. That day at the construction site, Marcus sat down on a stack of wood for his lunch break. He was not eating an expensive steak. He was eating a sandwich he had made himself. And he was not alone, he was laughing with 2 other workers. Real laughter. Loud and honest, not the fake little laugh he used in fancy restaurants. He saw my truck parked across the street. He stopped eating. For a second I thought he might look away embarrassed. Instead he waved. I waved back. He pointed at his watch, letting me know he had to get back to work. He did not walk over to ask for money. He did not complain about his sore back. He simply nodded, respected the distance between us, and picked his shovel back up. That shovel is teaching my son more about life than any business degree ever could. It is teaching him that money is not just paper. Money is time. Money is sweat. You do not need an expensive car to impress people you do not even like. You need a good pair of boots because you have a long road ahead of you. 1 year after that painful birthday text, I sat on a wooden dock with my grandson Toby. We watched his little red and white bobber float on the calm water of the lake. Toby is growing up very differently than his father did. He lives in a small apartment now. He watches his dad come home tired, with dirt under his fingernails. He is learning the value of $1 before he even learns long division in school. Marcus is a quieter man now. All the shine and arrogance he used to wear like a coat has been worn away by real life. When he looks at me these days, he does not see a bank account. He sees a father. A man. People often think love means giving your children a soft blanket to protect them from every hard thing in life. I used to think that too. But I have learned something different. Sometimes real love feels like the cold wind. It strips away the dead leaves so that something new and strong can finally grow. The ledger in my safe is finally balanced. Not in dollars anymore. In something much more important. I have learned that the biggest gift I can leave behind is not a house or stocks or old furniture. It is the simple truth that you are only ever entitled to what you build with your own 2 hands. Hitting rock bottom, it turns out, is one of the strongest places you can build from. Toby's little bobber dipped below the water. His eyes went wide. "Grandpa, I got one," he shouted. I did not reach over to grab the rod for him. I did not offer to reel it in myself. I sat back and watched him struggle. I watched him focus. I watched him figure it out all on his own. "You've got this, Toby," I said softly. "It's all you." And as I watched him pull that little fish out of the water, shining silver in the soft light, I knew our family would be okay. Not because of what I had given them, but because of what I finally chose not to give. In the end, the cruelest thing I ever did turned out to be the kindest thing I ever did. I stopped saving my son. I let him fall. And because of that, he finally learned how to save himself. To everyone watching, do not be afraid to be the villain in someone's short story, if it means you get to be the hero of their whole life. A true gift is not what you leave for someone. It is what you leave in them. If you agree that respect must be earned, not just given, hit that like button. Have you ever had to use tough love to help someone you love? Tell me your story in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories about justice and second chances. I'll see you in the next one. I drove out to a construction site on the edge of the city. It was raining because this is Seattle, and the sky always likes to remind you that nothing stays the same forever. I parked across the street and watched. Mud covered everything. The sound of machines and hammers filled the air. And there, in the middle of it all, was my son. He was not wearing a fancy suit. He wore a stained work shirt and a bright orange safety vest. He was not holding a wine glass. He was holding a shovel. I watched him dig. It was hard, honest work. His face was covered in dirt and sweat, but he did not complain. He just kept working. Later, I learned he was making $22 an hour. That is less than he used to spend on one single lunch. But every Friday he pays his own rent with that money. He buys his own groceries. He rides the bus because he still does not have a car. And every single month, a small check for $200 arrives in my mailbox. I told him he did not have to pay me back. I had already forgiven the whole debt. But he insisted. I need to feel it, he told me once. Even if it takes 100 years, I need to see the number go down. As for Vanessa, she moved to another city within a week of the divorce. Online, I hear she posts pictures of herself on fancy boats, next to a much older, much richer man. She never asked about Marcus. She never asked about the debt. She never asked about me. She simply moved on, looking for her next comfortable place to land. I do not hate her. I feel sorry for her. One day she will run out of people to lean on, and she will have to look in the mirror and see what is really there. That day at the construction site, Marcus sat down on a stack of wood for his lunch break. He was not eating an expensive steak. He was eating a sandwich he had made himself. And he was not alone, he was laughing with two other workers. Real laughter. Loud and honest, not the fake little laugh he used in fancy restaurants. He saw my truck parked across the street. He stopped eating. For a second I thought he might look away embarrassed. Instead he waved. I waved back. He pointed at his watch, letting me know he had to get back to work. He did not walk over to ask for money. He did not complain about his sore back. He simply nodded, respected the distance between us, and picked his shovel back up. That shovel is teaching my son more about life than any business degree ever could. It is teaching him that money is not just paper. Money is time. Money is sweat. You do not need an expensive car to impress people you do not even like. You need a good pair of boots because you have a long road ahead of you. 1 year after that painful birthday text, I sat on a wooden dock with my grandson Toby. We watched his little red and white bobber float on the calm water of the lake. Toby is growing up very differently than his father did. He lives in a small apartment now. He watches his dad come home tired, with dirt under his fingernails. He is learning the value of $1 before he even learns long division in school. Marcus is a quieter man now. All the shine and arrogance he used to wear like a coat has been worn away by real life. When he looks at me these days, he does not see a bank account. He sees a father. A man. People often think love means giving your children a soft blanket to protect them from every hard thing in life. I used to think that too. But I have learned something different. Sometimes real love feels like the cold wind. It strips away the dead leaves so that something new and strong can finally grow. The ledger in my safe is finally balanced. Not in dollars anymore. In something much more important. I have learned that the biggest gift I can leave behind is not a house or stocks or old furniture. It is the simple truth that you are only ever entitled to what you build with your own two hands. Hitting rock bottom, it turns out, is one of the strongest places you can build from. Toby's little bobber dipped below the water. His eyes went wide. "Grandpa, I got one," he shouted. I did not reach over to grab the rod for him. I did not offer to reel it in myself. I sat back and watched him struggle. I watched him focus. I watched him figure it out all on his own. "You've got this, Toby," I said softly. "It's all you." And as I watched him pull that little fish out of the water, shining silver in the soft light, I knew our family would be okay. Not because of what I had given them, but because of what I finally chose not to give. In the end, the cruelest thing I ever did turned out to be the kindest thing I ever did. I stopped saving my son. I let him fall. And because of that, he finally learned how to save himself. To everyone watching, do not be afraid to be the villain in someone's short story, if it means you get to be the hero of their whole life. A true gift is not what you leave for someone. It is what you leave in them. If you agree that respect must be earned, not just given, hit that like button. Have you ever had to use tough love to help someone you love? Tell me your story in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories about justice and second chances. I'll see you in the next one.